Hi there. I hope you guys are well. I thought we would take just a moment to chat because I'm seeing so much craziness out there. I'm seeing so many interesting dualities, and I just thought it was really important to sit with you for just a moment and to chitty chat about that, and let's see what comes up, okay? Um, so I titled this Goodness and Do Gooders and evil. We'll put evil into little toop, toop quotes there. I hope you guys can hear me. I'm using a new little setup. It has an external microphone. Hi, Stephanie Lynn. How are you? I hope that you guys can hear me. Um, I thought it was really interesting what's going on, and I really thought it was important to come on and chat with you about it. Even though this isn't a regular show, that would have been yesterday. Something about the formal aspect of doing a show is just kind of like um, not pulling me in to speak. Those of you who are participating in my little group, thank you very much. I just posted a new video today over there on the new tools that I'm pulling forward from this book that I'm reading. I'm going through them myself as well and using them to overcome places in me that are still need work and stagnant and all that kind of stuff. Okay, blah, blah, blah. So today I wanted to talk to you kind of about something that each of us should ask ourselves. Now, you don't owe me an explanation for any of this. It's things that we need to be asking ourselves because I'm noticing a lot of duality in people's expressions, in people's words, in people's experience. And while this is always the case, we have to have duality. We have to have one side and the other. I've oftentimes talked about the yin yang and how you have the black side and the white side, but that's meant to be a sphere. And so when it spins, the center line goes back and forth and blurs so that there is no line, right? So, what I want to talk about today in that is this concept of goodness and of evil, of doing good and of doing evil. Hi, Elaine. And in this world right now, we have, I would say, especially in our spiritual community, but in all communities, we have this huge divide. Here in the States, we've had the political divide for quite a while. It's gotten wider and wider and wider. But in our spiritual communities, whereas before everyone was content to live and let live, no matter what path you like to follow, no matter what path you were involved in with your spiritual practice. The people who were into crystals respected and did not down talk or bad talk or whatever. People who were into sacred geometry, who didn't go against people who were Wiccans, who didn't call out people who were shamans, who didn't call out people who believe in the Galactic Federation of Light. All of the spiritual factions, while many of them would say my way is right and your way is wrong, none of them really would say that way is not the way to do it and that way is bad. Okay. Hi, Kat. Welcome. Um, there was a level of respect and understanding that we're all on different paths to the same goal. And within our spiritual community, as well as within the regular community of all you regular people, who I do still have some of those on my friends list, it seems like there's a big divide happening. It's very obvious. And you have the conspiracy people and you have the non-conspiracy people. You have the ones who have always been, oh, it's all love and light. You have the ones who have been like, no, you have to embrace your shadow. Even that is now huge because trying to say, those who come out and say, we shouldn't be like feeding into this fear get attacked. And maybe they shouldn't be saying that to the people that are obviously in that mindset of I have to stand up. So this is what I want to address is that duality of doing good versus evil. Evil. I don't like that word. Because I don't think that it's used properly, if you know what I mean. So okay, I'm trying to get the words in the way that they need to be delivered. And I just needed a second to ask to, tell me what to say here. So yesterday I was watching a live from one of our spiritual brothers and sisters, And I have several friends that are also in this very same mindset. And it was specifically about a particular corporate person who owns a computer company that I don't know if I get, censored if I say his name here, but I mean, it's Bill Gates. Okay. So, and this is not debating, I want to make it super clear. This is not debating who's right and who's wrong. This is not a video saying anything about who's right and who's wrong. This is a video about asking questions and about the broader concept of do-gooding in any form. Okay, back to it. So I was watching a spiritual person that is in our circle, our collective circle, very widely known, very well respected, and he was playing a video about Bill Gates. Now, I popped in a little bit late. I didn't hear his introduction. He was narrating it, so I kind of got his opinion, and certainly the comments were condemning and cursing and sending incredibly negative, hateful energy towards this stuff that was on the screen. Now, I didn't watch the whole setup. I saw a little bit where they were talking about Rockefeller and how Rockefeller used to hand out dimes to make people like him, even though he was super, super rich and way richer than everyone else. Then it shifted in, and that he bought things to help the public image of himself. And he bought other companies to help further his own personal interests. That's business. That's what people do in business. No matter what your business is, you are trying to further your own personal interests or the things that you are passionate about. And you will do things to make that a smoother transition. For example, if you own a clothing company, say you're passionate about fashion, and there's no fashion that lets you have one boob hang out. So you design t-shirts that has one boob hanging out. But to make that happen, now you have to, number one, find a manufacturer who does that. So for a while you use another manufacturer, but then you sell enough one boob shirts that you can now create your own factory to make one boob shirt. So now you have that. But now there's so many people ordering it that using the US mail is not necessarily the best way for you. So then you purchase a shipping company, and now you are using your own shipping company and your own company to further your own interests and your passions, right? So that's just a little thing. That's what we all do in business. That's what anyone does in business. That's what we do in life to further our own agendas, the things we're passionate about, the things we are do-gooders about. You know, if you want to feed people and start a food bank, you start a food bank. You started off getting farm, vegetables from other people, but eventually you might buy your own farm and then employ homeless people on your farm and then take that food to your own food bank. You create your own universe where one business feeds the next one in a way that is the most profitable for you, where you can get the most done and help the most people. Okay. This is a business model. This is something that people who are in power, people that have money, people that start businesses do. So then this video goes on to start speaking about Bill Gates. And it's talking about how he donated $575 million to start the Gates Foundation. And then another entity behind that that's a for-profit one that explores, other stuff within the foundation and vaccines. Then he started doctor programs that would bring vaccines to places in Africa. And he was able to, not he personally, but the scientists that he employed were able to come up with vaccines to lower the mortality rate in children in Africa, which is a great thing. So then he donated money after the research to delivery systems and improved hospitals in Africa and all across the world in third world countries. Then he created educational systems and started funding colleges that further looking into this and further the knowledge of the people who are receiving these things to raise all kinds of, when you know more, you can do more, right? So then he donated money to the World Health Organization because they were supporting his, his journey and his goal, his passion to help people that were, now this is all the stuff that the video is saying. While this is running, there's hate and this guy is the devil and this is so evil and all this kind of stuff. And like I said, I'm not saying that they are wrong. I'm not saying that he is right. I'm not saying he's not evil. I'm not saying any of that. Okay. But what I'm saying is that the video that I was watching, if I didn't see their comments and hear the commentary from the other person, I would think it was a video on what a philanthropic person he was and how he is doing everything he can with his billions to help the world, to help disease specifically, and to help stop the spread of disease in low income, third world, poverty stricken areas. And he has affected that. He has effectively saved millions, thousands and thousands, maybe millions of lives over the past 20 something years that he has been doing this. And yet the experience that the people watching this video were having was one of anger towards him, and we need to stop him, and we need to make him, this is control, this is this is that. So it brought to mind a very interesting question to me. And like I said, this video is about questions. This is not about saying who's right and who's wrong, but each of us has to question ourselves, right? Each of us has to ask ourselves things to learn more, to be more aware, question everything, even the things you think you found when you questioned everything, right? So all of these people are seeing all of these philanthropic acts as evil because they have found somewhere in it, whether by watching someone who says they have inside information, or whether it's by their own perception of these philanthropic acts that then create pharmaceutical companies and distribution chains and educational chains and media chains to try to shift perception. Their perception of that is that that is evil. And no matter how much good is being done, that needs to be stopped, right? That the good that is being done is actually to trick you into accepting the next step in control, or to lull you into a false sense of security. And that was what the beginning part of the video about about Rockefeller was saying, was that he used to do that to try to get people to like him, to not, rise up against him, like the let them eat cake, kind of like the king or the earl of an area driving through and handing out silver coins to the people that are in the village of serfs that serve him. Hello, Susan. So it brought to mind an interesting question about, at what point do philanthropic acts become perceived as evil, as controlling? Is there a point where it crosses a line, and who has the right to perceive that line? Is the line perceived by each person? Is that line perceived by the person doing good? So let's shift this over to churches. And specifically, let's talk about the Westboro Baptist Church, who are very, very strong in their faith and their belief that gay people are evil and that they are sent by the devil, or that they are whatever it is. Okay. So if we look at them and what they do, they believe that they are do-gooders. Or even the churches that will protest outside of abortion clinics, okay? They believe that they are do-gooders, and they will curse at you, yell at you, throw things at you, block your way, tell you you're a whore, call you a horrible name. They will go to extremes to do good, because in their mind, they are saving you. So where is the line that goes from being a do-gooder to being someone who hurts, or to being perceived as a person who hurts, as a person who does evil? If we look at the Walton family, Sam Walton, who started this, used to have everything in his store made in the USA. And he was kind of perceived as a American hero, like the American dream for doing that, for having all these products made in the USA and employing so many people. And as the kingdom got larger and larger and their focus shifted, now they're more perceived as an evil entity that is uncaring, right? And I'm guilty of this. I look at people who have that much money and think they should be helping more, they should be doing more. But then if I then look at Bill Gates and I see how he is being perceived now and personified as evil, as the devil, literally with pictures of him with horns out of their head, created by people who are spiritual and who have been saying love and light, and who have, even people who have, the same people that are saying this are the same people who have said that demons are only perceived as evil because we don't understand their reality, because we don't understand their purpose in this world, and we are projecting our own beliefs upon them, right? So the question becomes, is it our perception that makes that evil turn, or that good turn to evil? Or is there actually an evil agenda behind it? And even if there is an evil agenda behind it, what is our role in the perception of that evil agenda? Now, part of my deep learning and being and connection to divine is this incredible connection to forgiveness. And many of the people that watch me know that I believe that there is forgiveness for all humans, no matter what they are doing, because they all started as pure energy. Now, of course, there are some that believe that there are actual evil entities who are masquerading as humans. I'm not quite addressing that. But even those entities believe that they are doing good for their own people, right? That they are doing something that is necessary. Again, that is not necessarily what I'm addressing, and I'm not saying what's right and what's wrong. But I, for example, have forgiveness for people who shoot other people, for people who rape. I have forgiveness for anyone who does that because they do that out of their own pain. For terrorists, for I have an understanding of forgiveness that allows me to have empathy for the pain that they must be in to enact those sort of things. And it is not an easy thing to do, and not everyone is able or wants to do that, and that's okay. Every person is on their own journey of understanding and forgiveness and working with this divine energy. But for humans, every person is connected to divine. If we believe that every single person is connected to divine, then we have to believe that every single person is worthy and deserving of forgiveness and has the ability to completely change their life. It doesn't erase what has been done, but it does change their life moving forward. If we believe that we deserve that forgiveness, then we have to believe that every other human being on this planet has to also be deserving of that forgiveness. So that in and of itself shifts the question. So if you don't believe that someone else deserves forgiveness, do you always believe that you deserve forgiveness? Are you able to embrace that you are forgiven as soon as you express regret and repentance? Right? So that's a question. That's like that duality. If you say other people, that person doesn't deserve to be forgiven because they are evil for doing what they're doing, do you believe that you deserve to be forgiven? Do you believe that all people are connected to divine? Do you actually believe that? Do you believe that a divine entity rides inside of that human that you just said doesn't deserve forgiveness? These are all questions. You don't have to answer them to me. They're questions to ask yourself. Now, when we apply this to do-gooders, right? When we apply this to doing good in the world, like I said, we started this talking about this Bill Gates video where they were listing all of these, what I look at as amazing life-saving things that they have done. They have dropped the infant mortality rate in Africa tremendously with the work that has been done through the Gates Foundation. And yet, he now is being portrayed as the devil, as the personification of evil in this world because of the theory, the conspiracy theory or fact that he wants to enslave us all by injecting nanobots into our body. Now, I don't know if that's true. I don't know if there is, science that does that. I don't know if aliens want to take over the world. I don't know the truth about that. But I know that my role in this is to be filtering this information through unconditional love and forgiveness and empathy. That is what I have been told from the beginning, and that is what I will continue to believe. To have empathy for others and to have forgiveness for their path. And this is not an easy thing to personify in a world where we are all living in a huge state of fear right now. And everyone reacts to that fear differently. And some people react to that fear by clinging on to the belief that they are smarter than the rest of us and they have secret knowledge that we don't have. And you're all sheep and just watch what's going to happen. Some people cling on to that by isolating, that they express their fear by isolating themselves and not talking to anyone. Some people will express their fear through lashing out at anyone who has a different opinion than them. Some people will express their fear by talking out against the government. Everybody is expressing their fear in a different way. But even the people that are going down the rabbit hole and believing the secret cabal and all of the QAnon stuff and all of the deep state stuff and that Bill Gates is trying to inject nanobots into our body, all of that is also a fear-based response, whether it's true or not. Because they are inciting a fear-based response in those who react to it. By saying we have to rise up and stop this, we have to do something. What are you going to do? It becomes now these folks who are rising up against someone who has done so much good in the world become their own brand of do-gooders, right? Now they are doing good. And so now you have people who think they're doing good on both sides. People who are actually doing good on both sides. The people that are rising up and saying this stuff are good people, good spiritual people. But if you question their belief in this alternate reality or this actual reality, depending on how you're looking at it, if you ask a question about it, you get attacked. I have been attacked just by asking a question about it. And even within the circle, when they question each other, there have been attacks and cursing and abuse and pain wrought on other people and blocking. If you don't agree with me, I'm blocking you, right? When you can't question your beliefs, what master are you serving? When you can't question what somebody thinks or what you think, when you can't be questioned about your beliefs, what master are you serving? Are you truly on a spiritual journey if you can't even be questioned about that journey? And people will say, I don't have time for that. That is toxic to me. Why should I entertain that sort of thing? You don't have to entertain it, but the level of your response indicates the level of your rigidity in your beliefs. Hi, Gerald. So, at what point does doing good become perceived as evil? And is it actual evil that is being done, or is it our perception that if somebody is doing that much good, they must be evil? Or is it our perception that anyone who does evil will always wrap it in the cloak of goodness? Or will always believe that they are doing good in the world? So the people who are anti-vaxxers see what Bill Gates is doing in creating vaccines as evil because they think vaccines are evil. But the people in Africa who are receiving them, whose children have lived when maybe they would not have, aren't perceiving that act as evil. It is a duality that is inherent in the very act of doing good. And if we take it on a different level to the movie The Avengers, Thanos truly believed that he was doing good. He believed that he was doing good by cutting the population in half of the world. And the fact that he could do it in an instant, he felt it was reasonable losses to get to that point where he could erase half the population so that the rest of the population didn't live in pain, in lack, in not enough food, not enough space, not enough resources, right? He felt that he was helping. Now, we look at that and think, but that's evil because he killed so many people. Okay, maybe his methods were not great, but let's have empathy for a moment for where he's coming from. And I know that this is an imaginary thing, but let's imagine that we're having empathy for Thanos. He grew up in an extreme state of lack. There was never enough food. People were always fighting with each other. There was always war. There was always conflict over things, over the simple things, just sustenance in life. And this is what he grew up with. And so to him, he was on a do-gooder journey, mission, quest. And his way of solving that problem of environment, of not enough of this, of too much of this, of conflict, was to cut the universe's population in half. And to him, he felt like he was saving lives by erasing half the universe because people wouldn't have to kill each other anymore, and that it was an acceptable loss. And he believed that with all of his heart. He truly felt like he had done the right thing. But those perceiving his actions saw him as evil. Those perceiving what he had done saw him as evil. Now, those 5 years that people were gone from the universe, we only saw the reaction on Earth. And we only saw the emotional issues that people on Earth had. But on other planets, was it different? Was there a peace? Because he speaks of the worlds, and Gamora and Nebula spoke of the worlds that he raised through killing half the population. And he cited the peace that was left on that planet when he left. And the fact that there was enough resources for all. And the fact that there was enough food for everyone and that there was no more war on those planets. And it wasn't because he left behind his forces to maintain. He wasn't conquering so much as shifting an entire planet to a new perspective. And yet, he was portrayed as evil in one way. And the Avengers certainly saw him as evil because you took our friends. It's something to think about. Was he evil because what we saw what he did, because our perception of it was evil? Are there planets where he is the great liberator? When that guy, that weird looking guy would come in all like, you are so lucky to be freed by Thanos, the great liberator, or whatever his little speech was, don't come after me. You know, that person, that his crew truly believed that he was liberating them through what he was doing. And are there planets where he did leave behind a legacy of peace? So all of this, the way that we are reacting to what's coming in, we each have to be responsible for. And we have to look at our own perception of these facts as they come in. Do they feed into the fear that we have about what's going on? Do they feed into our bias against people who have a lot of money? I have a bias against people who have a lot of money and don't do good. I look at what Bill and Melinda Gates have done with their foundation, and I have always thought, that's amazing. Look at how many lives they've saved. Look at how many lives they continue to save. Look at the ongoing research that they're constantly doing, right? I always look at that as an amazing thing. And yet here's an entire group of people who take the exact same video that I would watch and think, wow, what an amazing legacy they're leaving behind. Look at all the lives they've saved. They are looking at that as he is evil, he is the devil, and he must be stopped. Same exact information. Same exact information. My son, my 16-year-old, said that we see this in Donald Trump a lot. We see this in the way that he speaks. My son says that the book 1984 calls it doublespeak. And it's a way of speaking that either side can read into and say, see, I was right. So let's, for example, take the disinfectant comment. The side that hates Trump saw that and said, see, look, he's telling people to drink bleach. Okay. Now, a certain part of his followers also, who have been trained to do what they are told without question, also took what he said and said, oh, see, our president's telling us to drink bleach. Okay. And thought that that was okay to do. In the middle, there's a whole group of people that think, look at him baiting you people, speaking in code. He was talking about this cutting edge, treatment of putting radiation in your body, and that radiation is actually disinfecting your everything within you. See, he's so clever how he slides that in. And taking it a step further, look at how clever he is that he actually got doctors to say that disinfectant is bad for you and that vaccines are bad, because vaccines contain things that are disinfectants, that are considered to be scientifically disinfectants. And so he got doctors to say that vaccines are bad in his clever, devious way. So both sides heard what he said and read into it from their own perception what they wanted to hear, because it backed up and reinforced their own personal beliefs. So if we take this very personally, I talk about this all the time, that our own personal core beliefs are based on incorrect information and things that happen to us that we then go into the world and find evidence about. And one of the examples that I use a lot, because it's a simple example, is somebody looks at you when you're a kid and says, do something with that kid's hair. They look crazy. They're crazy. That kid looks crazy. Do something with their hair. Now you're 5 or 4 or 3, but all you hear is, I'm crazy. I'm crazy and my hair is crazy. So then you hear other things that back that up. Somebody looks at you sideways, or somebody comments on the way that you look, and you think, oh, yes, because I'm crazy. See, I'm crazy. They think I'm crazy too because of the way my hair looks. I hate my hair. They think I'm crazy. I'm crazy because my hair looks. And then that evolves as we evolve, and you get more evidence of that. Maybe somebody makes an offhanded comment about how they don't like your hair, or kids are teasing you because that's what kids do, or your mother says something to you, or your father says something to you about, what are you, crazy? Oh, they all see it. I must be crazy. You begin to perceive the world through this incorrect core belief that you are crazy because your hair is crazy. And you hate your hair, and you think you're crazy, and you go through your entire life finding evidence that this is true, when really it's not true. You're not crazy, and your hair's not crazy. Or, we don't want to hear what you have to say, little girl. Or, you got shushed as a little kid. Now you grow up thinking nobody wants to hear your voice. And some people will find evidence of that in everything they see. If your mom's on the phone and she can't talk to you, I can't talk to you right now. I don't want to hear you. Now that plays into it. See, what I have to say isn't important. Nobody wants to listen to me. And you find evidence to back up that core belief that already exists. So is the evidence actually about what you think it is? Or does the evidence fit into a preconceived notion that you already have, or a belief that you already believe that may or may not be true? We'll go back to my church example. There are churches that believe that gay people are evil. Right? But the people in that church believe that 100%, and they can find evidence to back that up, like words in the Bible, like the AIDS epidemic, like the fact that it was against the law, like look at the way they live, whatever it is, they can find evidence to support a belief that they already have inside. And when they go out and protest against gay people, they think they're doing good. They think they're saving the world. And by cursing at that person and doing conversion therapy, they are saving them. Yeah, my hair is a little crazy right now too, Gerald. I'm with you. So the entire, hi Zena, the entire world, while there are facts, our perception of the facts creates a reality that we live in. And in this fear-based world, our fear and our already the beliefs that we have formed are creating these new realities where a lot of people are joining the bandwagon in the reality that we have wrought, because it gives us a sense of control in a time where we feel helpless. By going along with whatever conspiracy theory or whatever political belief or whatever personal belief you have and joining that train of thought, by jumping on that particular train, you are now feeling like you're in control. You're feeling a little less helpless because you feel like I have something I can hold on to that's solid. I have something in my life that I can like grip onto and that will explain all of this. Very much like the stories that people would tell back before we knew what the sun was. Before we knew what the sun was, cultures would say, oh, Apollo is pulling the sun across the sky with his chariot. He is the sun god, right? Or Ra raises the sun and lowers it. I don't know the right myth for Egypt, but we would create a story to go along with the fact that the sun moves across the sky. There are such a thing as facts, Zeta, and that's the thing, is that people go on this search for facts, right? They go on this fact-based search for knowledge, and when they find something, first of all, just because it comes from an alternative source does not mean that it's true. Okay? So let's get that straight. Just because you can fact check it with 10 different sites doesn't mean that it's true. But there is such a thing as fact. There is such a thing as fact. And truth. The only thing we actually know is our experience. But we are experiencing the world, and so we create a vision of the world from our own experiences. When we carry these beliefs within us and this need that has to be filled by some explanation for what's going on, then that becomes our experience. Just because we see something doesn't mean that it's truth. Whether it's coming from our government, whether it's coming from our news, or whether it's coming from some alternative source that says that they have all the insider knowledge. Just like in spirituality, I don't think anybody gets 100% of the truth. We all get little pieces of it. I think if somebody had 100% of the truth, their brain would explode. Like, we're not meant to know that. We're meant to go through life in our own perception and to question everything. Always keeping that core of empathy and forgiveness and unconditional love for ourselves and for others. And it is difficult in our spiritual community and not in our regular communities to see others in the grip of what we believe is a form of insanity. Is what we believe a form of, oh my God, I can't believe they think that. And this was happening in political circles, and now it's happening in our spiritual community with all of this conspiracy fact or fake thing. And it turns into anger. And it is expressed in lashing out, and it is often expressed in abuse. And we are turning on our spiritual brothers and sisters and dividing the community. So let's think about this for a minute. If we don't even really know the facts, we think we know, but maybe we don't know. What is the purpose of these trains of thought, if not division? And what was the purpose of us becoming light workers? Unity, to unite us. And so when light workers climb onto these trains in a way that makes them lash out against others, are they uniting or are they dividing? This is not to say that the truth shouldn't be spoken. Again, I don't know what the right answers are. I'm saying question it. When does doing good become doing evil? Yes, Kat, you watched my show on that. When does doing good become doing evil? When does what we see when do we perceive someone as a savior, but also as the devil. And if we can't question or be questioned on our own beliefs, how much truth is there in that? If we have to curse someone out for questioning us, is that truth valid? Is the reason that we get so angry about being questioned about it because at some level we know that this is coming from our own fear-based beliefs? But to reveal that would be to reveal our vulnerability, that we are scared. Now this brings us, let's go all the way, and I've discussed this before, to Schrodinger's box. And the question of Schrodinger's box is, you have a cat in a cardboard box. And you have two scientists. And when they look at that box, we don't know, is the cat in the box alive or is the cat in the box dead? And so Schrodinger's box says that the cat is both, that it exists in both states of existence because of the perception of each person. Einstein said that reality is changed by each person's perception. And each of us is on our own journey. So we're all seeing things in a little bit different way, right? So is the cat in the box alive or dead? Now, I kind of am of the belief that there is a fixed 3D reality in this world. But that reality and the version of that reality that we live in is affected by our perception of that reality, right? So that box with the cat in it, I don't think it can be alive and dead at the same time. Now, I do believe it can be alive and dead in two different versions of our 3D reality. But in our 3D set reality of Earth that we are having this wonderful little play on, the cat is either alive or dead. So I like to shift that into something where I call them wearing glasses. So let's say that box that has that cat is yellow. In the 3D reality, that our Earth-based 3D reality that creates the base reality, and then all of our little branches come off of that box is yellow, okay? But I am wearing red glasses. So when I look at that yellow box, I see an orange box. You might be wearing blue glasses. So when you look at that box, you see a green box. And no matter how much I tell you the box is orange, not green, no matter how much you tell me that box is green, not orange, I am never going to see that box as green until I can question my perception. Maybe the box is green because I have, or maybe the box is red because I have on orange because I have red glasses on. Maybe the box is green because you have blue glasses on. What the Westboro Church does, they see as good, and thousands of other Christians see as them doing good. But many of us see it as evil, as bad evil, as bad. We see it as, hurting other people. What Thanos did, thousands of worlds see as goodness, that he was a do-gooder. And yet thousands of other worlds see it as he's doing evil, he's doing wrong, he's bad. There are thousands of people that have benefited from what Bill and Melinda Gates have done. But there are also thousands of people who see sinister motives behind anyone who does good, and then ascribes those motives to anyone that they see. Maybe because they had interaction with someone who had sinister motives but pretended to be good. Maybe because they've been hurt by people who said they wanted to help them, but really they want to hurt them. I don't know. Because your reality is different than my reality. But to attack me because of my view of reality is coming from a fear-based place. If you cannot question or be questioned the beliefs of ourselves or the beliefs of others, we cannot learn, we cannot grow, we cannot expand our own self-awareness, we cannot express empathy to each other if we're not allowed to question someone's reality or question our own. And so while there are many trains of thought and many conspiracy theories and facts and many things that are going on in this reality, there is a fixed reality. And yet it is our job to question that fixed reality at all times. And what I ask of all of you is that we question with respect and we are open to receiving the answer. And that if we are the one that is giving the answer, that we take those questions in and question ourselves and our own beliefs and our own facts. Because not everything that is said is fact. Not everything on the mainstream media is fact. And not everything on the media that is alternative media is fact. Yes, some people saw Hitler as a do-gooder. And in Hitler's mind, he was doing good. Because somehow he viewed the gene of being Jewish as something that was derogative and bad for the population at large. Somehow he saw that as something bad, and he felt by doing experiments and by doing the Mengele stuff that he was going to further the study of science and that he was going to break the chain. That's not to say that he was a good guy, but probably his wife would say he was a good guy. Maybe his friends, certainly his mother when he was a child loved him, right? It's a very interesting duality that exists, but it is something that is very, very pertinent today because we are seeing this divide. And if light workers have been woken up to unite, are you uniting by cultivating fear? Not to say that the truth shouldn't be said, but to point the finger and claim someone as evil. To point the finger and to say that that person doesn't deserve forgiveness is pretty much to acknowledge that you don't deserve forgiveness. Because if you believe everyone is divine, every human is divine, every human deserves forgiveness. It's a very interesting thing to go through. This is a fascinating experience that we're all in. This is a fascinating lifetime as a human. It is very exciting to be alive as a light worker in this time, to be ushering in the age of Aquarius. But this is another test, just as everything is a test. And how we react to what's going on now creates our future. I read something today that said that we have to think of opportunity and experience like a wormhole into our future that allows us in the now to reach into the future and change what happens. I've often said that the past got us to where we are today, and what we do today and how we react to that brings us to our future. And what we are doing now takes us into the next realm. So pay very close attention to your own reactions and the things that you jump into and these belief systems that feel good to jump into because they give you a sense of power in a time of feeling helpless. But recognize that everything you see may not be what you're seeing, and that that version of truth may not be fully truth, and that there is often good in things that we label as evil, and there is often evil in things that we label as good, because labels are words. And it is our perception of evil, our perception of darkness, our perception of the shadow that creates our version of it, that creates how we view what's going on. It is fascinating, and it is confusing, and it does give whole new meaning for saving space for others. But let's be kind to each other, okay? Let's try to recognize when we are lashing out in fear or superiority. Let's try to be gentle with each other, because we don't know what the other person is going through. Even if that person is expressing anger, we need to be kind and gentle to them. We need to send them empathy and kindness. Yes, I think that this is moving us towards New Earth thinking, Zena. I think that this is moving us to New Earth thinking because there's a huge majority of people who are, number one, recognizing the benefits of connection with other people. There will be a huge portion of the population that recognizes that humans affect the environment more than what we think of just because of the extreme lift in like the clean air index and how much cleaner everything is because we don't have as much of the industrialization going on. There is an entire, space of people that are recognizing that we all need to create communities to be there for each other and to have empathy. And just because it is amplified in our spiritual community, this hatred that people are carrying now, it is amplified because of the depth of their hearts. Because sometimes the depth of your hatred can only be the depth to which you love. And that hatred and that anger is a fear-based reaction to what's going on. And it is an opportunity for them to look at themselves and to see where their own pain comes from. And hopefully to heal that pain, because it's not enough to identify it. We have to take action. And I don't mean action in doing something. I mean action in doing nothing. In sitting in our own space and healing ourselves. And connecting with that divine love that each of us has access to overcome these spaces of fear. And everybody has a different take on this virus that's going on. Everybody has a different take. And y'all can judge me all you want. I have been hermetically sealed in my house. That's just me. That's just me. That's what I feel safe doing. That's what I've done. Judge, don't judge. To me, it doesn't matter. And I don't judge anybody who wants to go out there. I don't judge anybody who wants to go around without a mask. I have an opinion about it, but I recognize that they're doing that because it empowers them. Because it gives them a relief from their own fear. I respect it, even while I disagree with it. I understand it, even while I disagree with it. And yes, what they do affects me. But I still have to have empathy for what they're doing. Just like in a personal relationship, when somebody lashes out because they're angry at something that happened at work and they come home and lash out at you. You have to have empathy for what they're going for and for what they're going through, even as you disagree with how they express their pain. On a grander scale with strangers, on an even grander scale with the world. It is up to each of us to be doing this search when we find ourselves falling into pointing the finger, judgment, looking at do-gooders as people who do evil and looking at people who do evil as do-gooders. Looking at people who try to divide as people who are trying to raise awareness. And looking at people who are trying to bring things together as that person has ulterior motives. We need to look at ourselves as to why we think that. And now is the perfect time. Because we are isolated from others more than ever. It gives us lots of time to dig into those distractions. All right, y'all. I've been yapping for far too long. If you didn't catch the beginning, go back to the beginning. If you're just jumping on now, I love you. And I'm super grateful that you guys spent this time with me. And I hope that your own journey of personal discovery into your own beliefs and the line between good and evil, if there is one, and the labels that we put on things, and the way that we're reacting now, and the division within the light worker community. Are you here to bring unity, or are you here to divide? Because I do believe that even a person who believes 100% that Bill Gates is the devil and I need to bring this information to light, there's a way to do it, not through hatred, but rather through uniting. There is a way to bring forth these other alternative belief systems that Q has and about the cabal and the all of that stuff. There's a way to bring it forward without hatred, but rather with love. Because those people that are doing that is human, and maybe they're being used as tools. Maybe they're being used as pawns. And we still have to have empathy for that. It is a huge can of worms, y'all, but one that only you can open in the privacy of your own mind and your own heart and your own soul. I love every single one of you guys, and hang in there. I don't know how much longer this is going to go on. I have discovered so many amazing, fabulous, interesting things on YouTube and on different TV shows. Let me tell you something. I would love to just sit here and talk about movies. So anything that you guys are interested in, please reach out to me. Say, hey, Lee, what movies are you watching? Hey, Lee, did you find something interesting on YouTube? Let me tell you, I did. So if you want to hear that kind of stuff, just put a little comment here, and I would love to chat about that. Okay, you guys, I love you. I'm going to go now. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday and have empathy. Forgive others. Forgive yourself. Embrace unconditional love. You are divine. You are beloved. You matter. You are loved.